What about the people who become alcoholic? Doesn't that bother you, Susan? Why, these alcoholics, they...
If you mean my dad, go ahead and say it.
Sure, he's an alcoholic. Everybody knows it. I'm used to it. When a member of your family gets that way, you try and hide it at first, but you can't. You might as well face it. When Dad found out what was wrong with him and started taking treatment, our whole family got educated. Dr. Brune spent a lot of time helping me to understand. We had a long talk about people like my dad.
Alcoholism is a kind of illness that affects different types of people. We're not entirely sure why some people who drink become alcoholics and others do not. We do know that most alcoholics can be helped and recover through proper treatment. Your father's illness involves more than just his use of alcohol. Most drinkers can control their drinking. Alcoholics cannot. Your father is one of them.
My father's just one of those people who couldn't control his drinking.
Then I think you'd be afraid to drink.
Just because my dad's an alcoholic doesn't mean I'm going to be one. You don't inherit alcoholism, according to Dr. Brune.
No, sir, that's not going to keep me from going along with the gang.
That's what I say. If you want to be one of the gang, you've got to act like one of the gang. You don't want people to think you're a square, do you?
Do you mean to say you think you have to drink?
No, but...
I don't drink, and I get along all right with the gang.
Sure, but
Take this gang here. We have a lot of fun when we're together, but my folks would take a dim view of my coming if there was drinking.
There are plenty of guys who have a drink with their families, but when they get outside the house, they drink deliberately, just to get high and put on an act. I think that's what our parents are concerned about, as much as anything.
You're the only one, Jerry, who hasn't stated his opinion. Haven't you got anything to say?
Well, yeah, boy, everybody else put in his 2 cents. How come you're holding out?
I'm not holding out. I'm just listening.
Well, come on, let us in on it. How do you feel about drinking?
Well, now, that's a pretty hard question to answer.
Why? Nobody else seemed to have any trouble, although we don't all agree.
Say, you know, that reminds me of...
A hard question to answer. The kids don't realize it, but this is the first time we've really said what we think about drinking. Listening to what all of them think and believe, I'm not exactly sure where I stand. With most things, there's a hard and fast rule. Either they're right or they're wrong. And most everybody agrees as to which is which. But drinking, who is right? Sally? We all know where she stands and her reasons.
I think it's wrong. I believe what Reverend Brewster says. I think drinking is wrong for anybody.
On the other hand, Jack's opinion doesn't seem too unreasonable.
And my dad says a drink now and then never hurt anybody. And I think if you want to be one of the gang, you've got to act like one of them.
And Tom, although his father's an alcoholic, he doesn't seem to be afraid of becoming one himself.
The chances of being an alcoholic don't worry me. Some people can drink and some can't. You can't blame it all on alcohol.
Susan doesn't seem to be for either side, but she did bring up a point.
In my church, they don't say the use of alcohol is wrong in itself. Personally, I don't care one way or the other about drinking. But it's all right with me if other people want to. That is, if they behave themselves.
Some of the kids feel you've got to drink to be one of the gang.
That's what I say. If you want to be one of the gang, you've got to act like one of the gang. You don't want people to think you're a square, do you?
Do you mean to say you think you have to drink? I don't drink, and I get along all right with the gang.
Well, I think our parents are concerned mainly about kids who drink deliberately, to get high and put on an act.
It's not a simple question, is it? There seem to be many different opinions, even among our own gang. Each one of us must make up his own mind. It isn't easy. What do you think? What about drinking?